Hi guys, welcome to another video.
Did you hit record already?
Yes, I did.
Oh man, I'm back again. Noah's back.
Because we're just gonna continue with this session.
Back again.
The last one took way less time to read than it usually takes me to read, even with all the jokes we put in.
Huh.
Anyway, it's taken me long enough, but my name is Darkbreaker.
And my name's Noah.
Today we're reading My Brother by Edgy Boy.
You know it's gonna be a good one. It's by my boy Edgy Boy.
And that's probably gonna be the only time I'm gonna read the author's name out loud instead of just having it in the video there. But I just had to read that because it's by Edgy Boy.
Edgy Boy, Edgy Boy, Edgy Boy.
Alright, let's get into it. Scuffed up shoes lightly smacked the ground rapidly as a young boy no more than 12 ran freely with no destination. He only ran to feel the adrenaline flood through him. Running was in his blood. A part of him that'll never leave him. Being the fastest thing alive did that to you. He loved to feel the thrill of running at speeds unimaginable. His heart would always beat with excitement and joy. Laughter filled the air as he ran by, so youthful and vibrant. With a light breeze sifting past him like the waves of an ocean while he continued his run throughout many places as he passed by.
That was weird.
That's
not a good sentence.
Yeah, no, that's an incomplete thought. He went through green hills, full of natural wildlife, from small birds to big white-tailed deer, inside open clearings with colorful flowers and mysterious forests full of secrets behind each tree. The boy had traveled through different villages with a little amount of people thriving and towns of many people living their everyday lives.
Yo, is this guy like 12? The boy was known by everyone. Oh, they knew this boy all right. He's the infamous troublemaker Sonic the Hedgehog. A reckless boy. A rude, delinquent kid that is wild as the ocean, faster than the wind, and as free as can be with no sense of responsibility or maturity. Sonic carried this reputation
He's
everywhere.
supposed to be fucking 12. Of course not.
However, it became worse for him over time. At one time, he was just a quiet orphan kid looking for some love and attention from anybody who'd give it to him. He isn't what they say he is. But it was like wherever he went, the reputation clung to him, and people either alienated him, excluded him, or even both.
Isn't that the same thing?
Yeah, all those are the same thing.
Adults would scowl at Sonic when he'd walk by, because he wasn't running, obviously.
Sonic, you have to go fast.
Gotta go fast! Gossip about him, point him out, yet even still, they weren't as bad as the kids they had. What? Children around Sonic's age had, simply put, bullied him ruthlessly. There was the name-calling, the chasing, and the beatings, if they rarely did. Caught him?
How do you catch Sonic the Hedgehog? With a net. Let's get fucking Fred from Scooby-Doo up in here.
I really love the grammar of this. And the beatings, if they rarely did, caught him.
Caught.
Not catch. Caught.
They rarely... I don't like that.
It was just Sonic against the cruel, beautiful world. His parents? He never knew them. The hedgehog hasn't a clue if they are dead or abandoned him. Nothing. Even in his earliest memories, he could recall he was alone.
The hedgehog hasn't a clue, good sir. Sonic did his best to survive on his own, searching for enough rings to buy himself at least one small meal a day, curling up to sleep in the high branches of trees in the isolated forests to watch the night starry sky wistfully until slumber took him in, and trying so hard to never let the pangs of bitter loneliness get to him when he steals glances toward parents walking with their children, families sticking together. Sonic stuck out. He just did. From his vibrant royal blue fur and quills to his glowing big emerald eyes, put him in the middle of a crowd and you'd see him first. Nobody stood out as much as this speed demon did.
Even now, as he sped past, he was noticeably unique and different compared to his surroundings or other people. Maybe because he's fucking running past you.
He's a hedgehog, he's blue, and he's flying past you. Oh my god.
Currently, Sonic stayed around Green Hill, an island of lush green grass,
An Iceland?
hills. Really, Green Hill is an island of lush green grass, hills, and lovely blue lakes, and palm trees rising high in the sky. He liked it here. One, it was nice, sort of like a paradise. Two, since it was an island farther away from the mainland, he couldn't just uppity up and travel off the island as he wished. He did have a plane. No, he didn't. That's Tails' plane. He did have a plane, one he had gotten from a man looking for a quick buck, but he didn't trust it enough to fly him off the island. Plus, where could he go if he left?
Someday, Sonic swore to himself he'd be out there traveling the world and going on adventures, but it's not that day. Had it been an ordinary day, nothing new and nothing to do, he found himself bored as he laid on a makeshift hammock strung up between two trees. His ears twitched as he hummed and listened to the chirps of birds singing. The hedgehog had found himself in an isolated area in the forest to stay at. He went on a run earlier and decided to lounge about on his hammock to shade himself from the sun with the leaves from the trees. Then he heard it.
Quiet sounds of footsteps crunching on grass and twigs filled the air, and it seemed like the birds had stopped. Silently, Sonic sat up, now more alert and suspicious of the footsteps. They were slow and light, almost lost? An adult would walk heavier at a more fast pace, so it couldn't have been an adult. Maybe it was just a deer? Mama? Dad?
Sonic froze. He could hear the footsteps more distinctly now as a child came into view. A fox with yellow golden fur and a white furred chest continued to call out for his parents.
Fur!
The fox must have been no more than maybe 6 or so. The hedgehog assumed the younger child had gotten separated and lost from his parents.
Since when is Sonic supposed to be that much older than
I didn't
Tails?
think he was that much older than Tails. He was unsure what to do. The fox hadn't seen him before. He seemed to walk aimlessly away. There was a choice. Right here and right now, there was a village of people living farther in the forest. Maybe he lived there?
Sonic could just easily let the boy keep walking. He'd find his home eventually. Or he could kill him!
Take his blood!
The island wasn't too big, and it did have a lot of villages. Which is it? Is it not too big, or does it have a lot of villages?
They can't decide if it's a big island or a
Oh, it's
small
not
island.
just a lot of villages. A lot of villages and towns he could stumble upon. But that left Sonic's stomach flipping and turning upside down. That obviously wasn't the right thing to do. Getting off his creaky hammock, Sonic took a few cautious steps towards the child. "Hey!" he called out, gaining the attention of the fox. The child frightfully stopped in his slow tracks to face Sonic with a teary face. "Don't be scared. I'm not going to hurt you." ...
The child looked hesitant. Do you know where my parents are? Sonic blinked, thoughtfully rubbing his nose with his finger. The fox has been the only other person he'd actually seen for a few days. Wasn't he just running through the town? Shaking his head, Sonic said,
"Can't say that I have. Are you lost?" The fox shrugged his shoulders.
I don't have a home.
This struck a chord in Sonic's chest. This kid is lost with no home? When did you last see your parents?
I don't know. I've been looking for them a long time.
Sonic stepped closer to the kid to get a closer look at him. Closer. Closer. He looked malnourished and dirty, just as Sonic did. Now Sonic was more unsure of what to do. Is he an orphan? How long? Sonic asked, almost dreading the answer.
2 years, the fox said. Sonic's eyes widened at the answer. Though the fox seemed more sad and his eyes were watery and he began to hiccup from his crying. You had to cry.
2 years? How is he been living this long? Hey, don't cry. Chin up, kiddo. Other more fucking...
Yeah?
What's another one like chin up?
Chin up?
Yeah, what's another saying like that?
Keep your head high.
Hold your head high. Please stop fucking crying. I'll help you find your parents, Sonic said. He was quick to walk in front of the child. He bent down on his knees and placed a reassuring hand... That's not what I thought it was going to be. A reassuring hand over the kid's shoulder. What's your name? I can't be calling you kiddo now, can I? I don't see why not. My name is Sonic. Sonic the Hedgehog. Yeah.
Well, my bracelet says I'm miles per hour, but I don't like the name very much.
Gee, I wonder why.
Miles said to Sonic. It was an interesting name. Sonic took another look at the child, analyzing him up and down. Miles wiped at his eyes and sniffled quietly.
Too bad your name's not Kilometers. That would be much cooler.
Once his tears were wiped away, Sonic could see how big and blue his eyes were.
That's a cool name.
Sonic said, his voice trailed off.
So where did you live before? You can't just be wandering all alone. Somebody has to be taking care of him. There's no way there's another kid like me.
The blue hedgehog's heart sank in his chest when Miles nodded his head. Yes.
Who takes care of you? Do you live in a village nearby?
Nobody takes care of me. I live in a village, but everyone doesn't like me. They think I'm a fucking loser. They call me a two-tailed freak.
Miles answered. He looked as if he was going to cry again. He stopped crying at some point.
He was crying at some point?
Two-tailed freak, Sonic parodied curiously. It was obviously an insult. Mostly just the freak part. Why would they call him that? Why the heck would they call you that?
You have two tails. Why wouldn't they call you that?
Why would they call him that? Why the heck would they call you that? Great fucking writing.
Because I'm the only one with two tails, see? Tails said, and Sonic moved his hand when Tails turned to his side and showed his two fluffy tails, each with white ends. They moved simultaneously and drooped to the ground in a side display. I'm a freak.
Oh, I get it. Because you think you're a freak and you have two tails, they call you a two-tailed freak. Okay. Aren't I fucking hilarious?
Alright, you don't have to rub it in, man. This is supposed to be like a moment?
What? No, you aren't. Sonic quickly shook his head. Come on, Tails. You can't let their words get to you. The people on this island are so judgmental to anybody who isn't like them. Someone like me. You're unique. I can tell that already. So you hear me? Don't listen to them. They're just jerks.
Tails?
Miles repeated. He tilted his head as he looked into Sonic's eyes.
Sonic rubbed the back of his neck, suddenly aware he came up with a nickname for a kid he barely even knew. Why didn't he just give Miles directions to the next village? Sonic may have loved lots of socialization, just not one from this island. He tended to avoid people as much as he could. Could it be he felt sympathetic and understood Miles more than anyone? He didn't feel good at all at the thought of not helping Miles. Besides, Sonic didn't roll that way. Even though it felt like the world was against him most of the time, he couldn't just go out of his way to help people as much as he could.
Yeah, sorry I called you that Sonic tried to apologize when the fox, or rather Kitsune... Oh, just fucking kill me. Or rather Kitsune, more like it, cut him off.
I like Tails more than my name,
Miles sheepishly admitted. I love how the author doesn't want to refer to him as one thing, which, I mean, of course they're not going to because they're going to show that he gave him the nickname, but you keep switching back and forth from Tails and Miles. Miles sheepishly admitted. He stared down at his shoes to stop looking at Sonic, who thoughtfully pondered over the sudden nickname. All right, Tails, Sonic smiled. The hedgehog was now happy, oddly enough, that Tails seemed to be feeling slightly better. He didn't know why, but he was quickly growing attached to the Kitsune. He's supposed to be a fucking fox. I'll help you find your parents, okay?
Okay, Tails softly said. He looked back up at Sonic. Thank you, Sonic. This means a lot to me.
It's no problem,
Sonic said. He tried to sound as nonchalant as possible. He had a few mixed up feelings, nothing bad per se. He wished he still had the same hopes as Tails that he'd maybe find his parents. But Sonic knew that if they wanted him, they would have found him many years ago. Even so, Tails had the chance of finding his family. A slim chance, it might be, but Sonic would be sure to do his best to help Tails find his family. At least he could do that good deed.
Let's go look for your parents.
Oh my god. ...
Sorry, it's not much, Sonic said to Tails while they walked along the beach. It can only fly us around the island a couple of times, though. Their shoes left an imprint in the sand with a quiet thump and a crunch in the grains. The ocean was calm today. Occasional waves lightly crash against the sandbanks and retreat back into the waters to repeat once more in a loop.
Sonic and Tails were walking for a few minutes to their destination while chatting with each other. Sonic realized how intelligent Tails is. Heck, I'm calling it a fox. Heck, the fox is probably smarter than him, and he's only 5 years old. I mean, Sonic's fucking stupid.
Wait, when did Tails go back a year? Because he said he looks about 6.
Well, it looks 6. Sonic figured if they went in his plane he named the Tornado, they could get a full view and see if they could point out any places that seemed familiar to the fox. It was worth a start. Yo, is this like an origin story for Tails' plane?
Is that what this is?
I feel like that's what this is. Because they're setting it up.
So the plane's the brother?
The plane's the brother.
The hedgehog couldn't keep the grin off his face once he saw the amazement and wondrous look on Tails' face after seeing the tornado for the first time. They reached the end of the shoreline where Sonic's plane rested at. Sonic proudly named it the Tornado. Really?
Wow.
It's a red biplane with its paint dull and old. It's not a lot, but it could be helpful. Sonic had to stop and watch Tails with awe when the kid flew over to the tornado. I mean, he actually flew on his two tails that propelled him in the air.
Then Sonic frowned when he got close enough to the plane. He could see someone or someones had tampered with his plane. Some screws and bolts were unscrewed, and it looked like some stray wires that shouldn't be sticking out were.
I don't think we can fly with...
Do you have a toolkit?
Tails asked as he lowered himself back to the ground and his fluffy tail stopped swishing. He looked up at Sonic hesitantly. I do, but I'm no good mechanic.
Sonic said. He laughed lightly. He was still curious by Tails' twin tails. That was a neat ability. The hedgehog shrugged his shoulders.
I can see what I can do. My toolkit's in the cockpit.
He closed his mouth when Tails disappeared inside the plane for a moment before digging out his kit, almost as big as Tails himself. It was covered in a light amount of dust, just like the plane, since I hadn't been using it much lately. Why is that in first person? Though he opened his mouth to interject when the child began opening up the kit and observing the silver tools in hands. However, he shut his mouth once more when he watched the kid suddenly become a skilled mechanic.
But Sonic didn't stop him. He looked like he knew what he was doing. Or maybe he's just shoving some tools in your plane. Then there was the fact that Tails seemed to have a small smile on his face. It's the first time Sonic saw him smile, and he didn't want to be the one to ruin this moment.
I like to imagine Tails has no idea what he's doing, and he's just like taking the tools, just throwing them,
playing drums on the fucking plane,
just hitting stuff with them.
Little did they realize that a bond was made, an established link when they would very soon call each other brother, and be the family they wanted, the family they needed, but not the family they deserved. Their wish had been granted, their desire fulfilled. A brother. Their family, now small, but in time, will grow and bloom like flowers in spring. Chapter 2!
Sonic knew that it was going to take time to find the Kit's family.
You know what Kit's short for, right?
Kitten?
Fox.
Fox! To find the Fox's family. But when that afternoon on the beach turned into days and turned into weeks without results, he was fairly sure that Tails' family wasn't here. The hedgehog teen didn't have the heart to break it to the kitsune. Then there was the fact that Tails grew on him.
Wait, no, Sonic's 12. That's not a teenager.
Well, I guess if you're... I don't know. Then there was the fact that Tails grew on him, and it puzzled the hedgehog. They learned many things about each other, big and small details in their time spent together. Tails had hardly ever left Sonic's side since that afternoon, so Sonic did his best to not leave Tails alone when he figured out how fragile the child is.
A child with lots of intelligence, but none the less a child still. Sonic was no expert in raising kids since he himself is one. Or maybe he's a teenager. I don't know.
I thought he was a teenager.
But it seems like nobody was going to do the job. He decided that he would fill in the shoes for Tails' absent family. That was easier said than done, considering the fact that Sonic didn't have a job for money, because he's fucking 12, a real home for shelter, or an idea on how to raise a boy like Tails. That's not a fucking sentence either. You can't start a sentence with considering and end it like that.
This is not how grammar works!
Sonic's small sum of money had been depleting faster now that he had Tails to worry about, and Sonic was growing concerned. Did they just, go to the fucking supermarket and just, buy some fucking snacks, and, that's it?
They bought a bunch of alphabet cookies from the dollar store.
Click on that card right now.
I was about to say, I knew we were getting that card in there at some point.
Would have been linked at the end of the video anyway. Where would he get the money? How would he support the two brothers? Of him and Tails.
The two including himself.
The people here weren't very kind to those outside of their villages or towns. They saw Sonic's reputation rather than the child himself.
Right now, a crescent moon hung high in the sky with the stars glittering, the moonlight illuminating a hammock with two boys lying in it next to each other while the world sleeps. Only one of the boys is in slumber. The eldest slept peacefully, content, and snoring lightly. The younger was wide awake,
Chili dogs.
staring at the stars that reflected right into his eyes like vibrant blue pools. Tails rolled onto his side while facing Sonic. The hammock creaked quietly and swayed with the motion. But the hedgehog did not wake from his slumber. Tails stared at Sonic without meaning to.
Sonic had been a mystery to Tails. He didn't know why Sonic was being so nice to him. Nobody was nice to Tails. Not even Sonic, who was nice to Tails. From his few memories he could pick out, people didn't like him. And they certainly weren't nice to him at all. In fact, his first memories had been of rude adults and bully children, always making him feel like the outcast he is.
Hey, Sonic! ...
The only response the fox had gotten was a soft... The only response to... Fucking A. The only response the fox had gotten was a soft snore from the older boy. Tails sighed, not in disappointment that Sonic is asleep. No, he sighed with acceptance. A harsh acceptance no 5-year-old should ever have to think or realize.
Oh my god. I know my parents aren't out there, but you keep looking just for me. Why?
Tails said in a whisper. His voice may be young like he.
Like he.
His voice may be young like he. But with his sharp intelligence, the boy is aged up and more mature than he should be. In some ways a blessing, in more it's a curse. Tails then closed his eyes. He didn't expect an answer from Sonic. Slumber befell the fox, and his breathing came to a slow rhythm.
And he died. And that's the story of how
the
Tails
current
died.
end. Again, we'll probably come back to this once it has, stuff. Yeah, that's the end of this one. Don't fucking report it for abuse.
I'm following it.
Yeah.
Well, thanks all for watching. That was pretty great. That's it for Noah.
Click the shit on screen.
Yeah, we got a card, and there's, other stuff, and... You watched the video?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Alright, bye, everybody.
Wow, thanks for listening.